Hey everyone, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Savannah and today we're talking Prehistoric Kingdom. This one surprised me today. Usually the dev diaries come out at the end of the month, but today we got January's dev diary, so I'm excited to jump in and see what they have in store for us. Before we talk about the future of Prehistoric Kingdom, this dev diary does start off with a Patreon note. It looks like the developers are creating a Patreon to help support and fund the project. This is a small dev team, and it looks like funds right now, the income is not sustainable, and I would hate to see the end of Prehistoric Kingdom. So if you are able to, of course, head on over to their Patreon, support them in any way that you can. Just sharing information about Prehistoric Kingdom also is supportive and completely free, so do consider that as well. Again, wonderful game. I'm really enjoying it. I've been jumping back in. I actually have a build recorded, ready, and I'm gonna upload it today, so you'll either see it tomorrow or the next day, depending on how fast I get everything together. But a brand new build featuring some of the brand new updates. I'm very excited. You can definitely check out their art book as well as a couple other things on their Patreon. It says it all right here. The soundtrack is phenomenal. It's probably what I'm playing in the background of this video right now. But yeah, definitely take that into consideration. But let's jump into the meat and potatoes of the dev diary here, which will be update 14. We're first talking about ontogeny. Look at that little guy jumping around. Update 14 will feature the first iteration of ontogeny, bringing baby animals to Prehistoric Kingdom. Using an age slider in the animal nursery, players will be able to preview the growth of a species and create animals at a specific age. When placed in the park, they'll grow from baby to an adult. Here's a sped up demonstration of how growth works using the mammoth as an example. Note how there are no model swaps or sharp transitions. Instead, its proportions, shape, and skin seamlessly change over time. I cannot explain how much I love this. The fact that they just kind of grow, those tusks kind of come out and get much bigger as it goes to an adult. I really, really like the decision to make this a seamless transition. Almost so much so that you're probably not even going to really notice that much as your animal changes, you know, because there's no sharp transitions in this. This is phenomenal. We're still working on the little guy, but here's an up-close look at the current baby mammoth. They're certainly different without their massive tusks. Look at him! He's so cute! That little puff on the top of the head is absolutely adorable. To make babies extra cute, they'll have their own locomotion to make them bouncier and more wobbly than adults. It definitely makes the T-Rex much less intimidating. So if we take a look at this guy walking around here, more bouncy, bubbly, wobbly, I love it. Like true little baby animals, right? Uncoordinated and not so menacing. It looks very, very adorable. The baby T-Rex looks great as well walking around there. Look at the different sizes as it's walking around in the enclosure. There's obviously more to them, or more than just one of them, excuse me. And you can see them all running around together. Really cool. Babies like those of the cave lion are especially adorable. We love how these little kittens came out with their soft faces and their massive paws. You all know, if you have been on the channel before, if you know me at all, lions are my favorite animal, and the cave lion, of course, then, is the favorite animal in Prehistoric Kingdom. Look at how adorable. I'm absolutely obsessed with them and their little faces, like it said, their massive paws, the spotted coloration on them, the little stripes down their tails. I love it. On a technical level, we're implementing ontogeny so that upcoming behaviors such as sociality and combat can factor in from the start. It also allows us to observe how babies fit in to the gameplay loop before more advanced features such as breeding are added at the end of early access. As mentioned in a previous diary, one of the benefits of this approach is enhanced sexual dimorphism. For things like mammoths, we can stop their growth early to give females shorter tusks. It'll certainly make herds look even more diverse. Absolutely. But just, look at this. You can't not love how those look. Super, super cute. I love all of that. Bringing in breeding and growth and all that kind of stuff is fantastic. It's exactly what I want to see in the game. Moving on to first person mode. This highly requested feature will let players explore their parks from the eyes of a human, walking, running, and jumping their way around the zoo. You can see here this is a prototype first-person mode as they walk around in the game. Look at how menacing that T-Rex looks walking towards you in the rain. And it really puts into perspective like how large they are. Really, really cool. We'd really like for players to be able to interact with attractions such as binoculars and, in a later update, incorporate basic managerial tasks such as refilling feeders and cleaning dung in exchange for an upfront cost. Ooh, that's really exciting. I feel like they've mentioned the possibility of that before, but that's very like Zoo Tycoon 2, right? That was something you could do in that game. You can get down into first person and you could take care of your animals yourself. I love it. We feel this would not only increase the sense of Prehistoric Kingdom being your zoo, but provide a more active way for players to engage with the park itself alongside staff. Definitely going to be a favorite for those of you that love playing these games for the management aspect of it and really getting involved with your animals. Absolutely amazing. Talking about the future, first talking about sociality and herding. Most of sociality will revolve around herding and how animals respond to each other. Depending on things like competitiveness or territoriality of an animal, this can result in social behavior like friendly communication, scaring off competing herds, and running away from threats. Long term, we want to focus on the herd structure and how animals move up and down in the ranks. Seeing herd leaders challenged in competitive species or animals playfully chasing each other in more social ones. They're even taking this a step further with mixed herds. As you can see, big dinosaurs and little dinosaurs will actually just kind of gravitate towards one another. They'll still be independent herds from each other, but this kind of mimics what you would see in the real world, which is really cool. Social behavior or social animation? A question we often see is if Prehistoric Kingdom will have social animations. This refers to the idea of a highly choreographed, synced animation between two animals, usually showcasing some sort of canned physical interaction. At this stage, we will be focusing on social behavior, animal AI, instead. Not only are social animations out of our current budget, but they have problems with seamless ontogeny and individual size variation that can only be solved with a heavy tech investment. Regardless of those circumstances, we view social animations as more of the cherry on top and should not form the basis for sociality in Prehistoric Kingdom. But talking about combat and hostility, combat is being designed as a dynamic system, making use of triggerable attacks and additive animations. This would allow animals to injure each other while moving around and perform actions such as biting or horn stabs. It's important for us to prioritize not only the scalability of aggressive interactions across species, but to consider the size of our team too. Going dynamic means we can build something that's variable and potentially more reactive for a lower cost, rather than something built around hundreds of cinematic but ultimately predetermined animations. With that in mind, here are some mock-up images using our current library of prototype animations. They depict an incoming attack, bite, and hit reaction. Very cool. We'll just kind of look at all of these together. I don't know much about creating video games or coding or development or anything like that, but obviously from what it sounds like, there is a cost component associated with how in-depth they can get with this. Hopefully in the future it is something that they can incorporate, because I think it would be really, really cool to have social animations added to the game. But for now, I think what they're doing is absolutely amazing, and very excited to see the dinosaurs interact with one another. Below is a short animation test demonstrating how a threatened pose could be combined with locomotion and various attacks to create the appearance of an angry animal. Keep in mind that combat is in such early pre-production that we're not worrying about polish or making it overly sophisticated yet. We just need animations to test with. So you can see by this string of animations as this T-Rex kind of goes through them, they all look great to me, honestly. You know, I'm very excited to see that they're focusing on different behaviors for our dinosaurs, our prehistoric animals. I've said it in the past, it just makes them feel more alive, more real, instead of just kind of trompsing around in their exhibit, eating out of their feeders and playing with their enrichment toys and stuff like that. It makes them feel real. I think this looks great. Obviously, for a work in progress, we do have to keep this in mind. The game is still in early access, but the dev team is working really, really hard, obviously, to make all these amazing updates. There's a lot of research, trial, and development before we find a definitive path forward that's achievable for us. So we ask you to keep your expectations for combat and hunting measured. Moving on to paleobotany, it may not surprise you, but a lot of prehistoric plants are only known from leaves. We've been working with Tom Parker to ensure that our interpretations are scientifically plausible. For many species, Prehistoric Kingdoms will be the first time some of these plants have ever been recreated in 3D. All 8 in-game biomes will offer paleobotany, though the majority of the species will be going towards scrubland, tropical, wetland, and coastal. Paleobotany is currently planned to feature around 30 extinct species of foliage when it's finished, including fan favorites such as the monkey puzzle, zamites, ginkgos, and ginkgos. Hopefully I said all those right. I know I skipped the official names, but the other ones were easier for me to say. Below you can see some of our first assets created for the coastal biome. Very cool. I have said it in the past, I know very little about prehistoric animals. That being said, I know even less about paleobotany and extinct plants and things like that. So if you have any information, or of course if I ever say anything incorrectly or have questions, please feel free to answer those down in the comments for me. I would love to learn about them, but I mean, just from looking at them as a like a pure aesthetics standpoint, I think these look great. I love the kind of like roots or the kind of the dead parts of the plant on top. The fern looks really, really cool as like a ground coverage. The second one is something I can see myself using all the time, again, as another ground coverage plant. And then we've got some even taller ones moving into some trees. They look great. They're very detailed, and I think that they'll be really fun to play with. For the ginkgo trees, we have 2 different species, one from the Jurassic and one from the Cretaceous, and it's incredible to think that these were actually from before the dinosaurs. We decided to give them unique growth habits to better align them with the coastal and temperate biomes, with the added benefit of increasing their visual diversity. Very cool. I really like the orange ones. That's perfect. It adds a lot of variation when you are landscaping your exhibits. I really like how much detail the devs are diving into with just the accuracy, right? They want to make sure that even the plants have actual accuracy to what they would have looked like. And that's the kind of attention to detail and above and beyond kind of stuff that I really love from the development team for Prehistoric Kingdom. And one of the reasons why I love the game so much. I really like it. In terms of gameplay, we plan to create unique dig sites specifically for paleobotany. They'd be scattered across the world, much like our animals are. Placing compatible paleobotany within a habitat would not only provide enrichment for the animals, but increase their animal points rating too. We will continue to show more plants coming with paleobotany as the year progresses. Terrariums? What is this? Terrariums are an upcoming set of modules that will replace the existing mini exhibit system, acting as a rebrand of sorts. Like before, these facilities will house simplified versions of animals that would otherwise be difficult to include in regular habitats, typically due to their size, unique locomotion, or ontogeny requirements. Our goal with terrariums is to better integrate them into regular gameplay, expand their customization options, and revisit their pipeline so it's easier to set up new species. That's really cool, because right now we were just calling them the aviary, right? Because they only house, I think, the 2 flighted species. So changing them to terrariums makes me think that they're obviously going to be including more species possibly in the future, which is really cool. Definitely something that kind of rounds out your park and fleshes out your zoo. Really cool. Configurations. Oh yeah, we're not done talking about them. I should have continued reading. Look at that. The mock-up pictures are super cool, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just see what they have to say. Terrariums will have 3 configurations to switch between: amphibious, arboreal, and terrestrial. Each configuration will change the inside of the tank, making it more comfortable for your chosen species. Really cool. So amphibious features a shallow pool and terrain for semi-aquatic animals. Arboreal features a set of trees for arboreal animals to perch or jump between. Terrestrial features elevated terrain with variable burrows for animals to hide in. Each of these configurations will have a small 4x8 and a large 8x12 version to replace the current mini aviary. The small version will be especially great for custom reptile houses or adding little installations throughout the zoo. They are thinking like the players. They're thinking like their fan base, honestly. That's really cool to have 2 different sizes so that you can really customize your different exhibits. These are obviously very early mock-ups and not the final design, but even from early mock-ups, they look great. I'm super excited about them. Players will need to set terrariums to use the right substrate, climate, setting, and provide enrichment in order to satisfy their terrarium animals. Beyond these few options, we're planning to keep the insides sparse so that players can go crazy, adding their own foliage and create dedicated terrarium prefabs. There will also be null styling to further flexibility, allowing players to visually combine multiple terrariums or sink them into the ground. Amazing. That is a really cool feature, to be able to sink them into the ground or put them combined right next to each other and make them seamless. Super, super cool. It just really adds to the level of customization that you can do with these. In terms of management, keepers will need to supply terrariums with food and clean them in order to keep your animals happy and healthy. When disease is added, terrarium animals would get sick too. Talking about terrarium animals, regarding the animals, Archaeopteryx and Microraptor will be joined by compies, Tiktaalik, is that how you say it? And Yi. Those are my best guesses. Please let me know down in the comments below how badly I messed those up. With more being revealed later this year. Since these critters are being rebranded to Terrarium Animals, it certainly opens the door for some larger species. Look at this thing. Obviously a semi-aquatic animal. Really cool. Oh my gosh. And this one? Wow. 2 animals that I have never heard of before, but very cool. And looks like we have little symbols here to suggest which kind of terrarium they're going to need. Obviously semi-aquatic here. Looks like maybe arboreal, and then this one is terrestrial. Really, really cool. I love that. This is a really interesting looking animal. Very, very cool. Moving on, this is a beefy dev diary here, but it looks like the last thing that we're talking about here is flat rides. Inspired by real world zoos and fun fairs, we've begun looking into potential flat rides to add to Prehistoric Kingdom. That's not something that I saw coming. That's amazing. These researchable modules will add a significant amount of attraction points, to the park rating, giving guests something to do when they're not watching animals behind fences. In particular, we've been considering a Ferris wheel, theater, and a hot air balloon that would float straight up and give guests a good view of the park. If you had any suggestions that would fit the game's tone, we'd love to hear them. Super cool. Oh my gosh, that's very exciting to add flat rides. I would personally suggest like a train ride would be really cool. Something that could go inside of the exhibits, I think would be really cool. Like a train or a Jeep or something like that would be fantastic to add so that you can create these like custom paths through your exhibits and your guests could get an even closer look at your animals. And then of course we have the community spotlight down below. Very cool screenshots taken by some of the community. Very, very cool. That's it. That's it for January's Dev Diary. We got a lot of information. And I'm really getting even more excited for the future of Prehistoric Kingdom. So like I said, I have a build and a video prepared, and it should release either tomorrow or the next day if you're watching this video live. If you're not, it'll already be up on the channel, so be sure to check that out. I'm building an exhibit for the cave bear. And other than that, that's all I have for you. Definitely hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content or Prehistoric Kingdom news and updates. Hit the like button, leave a comment, all that fun stuff, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye!